Lions-Packers recap from week 2. So we lost, which was to be expected. I think most of us Lions fans went into this week expecting a fat L. So let's just kind of recap what we saw yesterday. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing to Let's Talk Lions. Most of us Lions fans, I would say, went into yesterday seeing the writing on the wall. But I think going into Lambeau early in the season, in September, week 2, and with no fans, offered us a chance of hope. You know, knowing that Minnesota their secondary is worse than ours, giving us a chance of hope. Seeing our guys leading going into the fourth quarter against Chicago by 17 points, a chance of hope. And that's what the Detroit Lions like to do. The sliver of hope, the silver lining, if you will. Watching the game, we started out hot. Watching yesterday, we started out hot. We looked good off the bat. I was watching, our offense, watching the rushing with Kerryon Johnson and Stafford throwing to Hawkinson. We started out hot. Man, that first drive, I'm sitting there and I'm like, if this is going to be the game, I'm feeling good. But that's the problem. That's always the problem. Our first drive is a joke because it's always so good. And then the rest of the game, you're like, oh. So watching our first drive, it was interesting because here's Kerryon Johnson just rushing the ball down the throat. It was so good to see Johnson playing, seeing him active, seeing him perform. And he just rushes the ball, throttles it down Green Bay's throat because their run defense wasn't very good. They were missing Kenny Clark. That was huge for us. And so we were using that to our advantage on the first couple drives. And so us driving down the field, scoring the TD, the Lambeau leap, everything's feeling good. And looking at it, you start looking at the second quarter and you look at what happens. Our defense began to beat themselves with penalties. Just penalty after penalty of dumb errors. And now, listen, I'm not going to be the guy who says that the refs blew the game for us because they didn't at all. But what I am saying is that helmet-to-helmet call, a little fishy. That was like a Hong Kong fish market. And they go right to Mike Pereira, who's always going to agree with the referee. And I understand that the helmet contact to the shoulder area, at some point, I don't know when we're playing football and when we're not anymore. It's kind of confusing, but hey, the penalty's called. Okay, we're hurting ourselves. It's too close. Shouldn't be hitting the guy there anyways, but it is what it is. Then you look, some more penalties start racking up against us. That horse collar call, he grabbed the nameplate, pulls him down. That's not a horse collar, but I guess in Lambeau it is. And again, we beat ourselves. The amount of penalties that we start racking up were absurd. They were absurd. Okudah could have played better. I understand it was his debut game, so there's that element to it. And for him to have to debut against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, not easy. Started out looking hot. Hawkinson's making plays left and right. Kerryon Johnson throttling the ball down Green Bay's throat. Stafford looking smart, looking quite cerebral. And then going into the second quarter, our defense starts to make the mistakes against themselves. Penalties just start racking up on ourselves, and we help push the Packers all the way down the field, setting them up for success. So obviously it's 14-17 going into the half. Prater misses the field goal. Hey, it was a deep kick into the wind nonetheless. By no means do I blame him for that one. Then the second half opens up, and I'm in the kitchen opening up a brewski, and as I'm clicking that pop with the fizz, I just hear some screaming, and I poke my head in, and there is Jones pushing 75 yards down our skull. And I was like, this is not the way that we should be opening up the second half. Alas, there it is. And at that point, our defense just looked like fish out of water. With the amount of penalties, their rushing game, Aaron Jones had a day, that guy. And then really, a lot of these cross routes across the middle, Rodgers hitting his boys, just going right across the middle. And we just deteriorated. Our offense begins to deteriorate. Matt Stafford throws a pick 6, and then he gets sacked. The one time he gets sacked right on the 1 yard line with forward progress. Then the other time he ditches the ball out to the right, intentional grounding. We just deteriorated. We looked like a cookie. I'm talking a Chips Ahoy crunchy cookie deteriorating, crumbling before us. It was like a crouton getting smashed with a hammer. And it's hard. Overall, what I saw was the Lions beating ourselves and then the Packers absolutely capitalizing on that fact. In the beginning, you look at the opening of the game, we're running the ball, and then we started falling into this repetitive pattern of, now that the Packers are making the moves and we've given them time and we've given them space and we've given them points, now we have to start playing by throwing the ball. Now we have to be on the offense shootout, throwing the ball with Stafford. More mistakes are made when really it was the running game that was leading us in the first quarter, in the second quarter. That's what was leading us to a W right off the bat was our run game. Then the moment we had to start playing into the Packers scheme of passing the ball, everything went wrong. It was nice not to collapse in the fourth quarter. I'll say that. That was nice. It was like, okay, we got beat. Cool. We didn't pull an Atlanta-Dallas yesterday. We have a very tough schedule ahead of us this year. The Chicago loss is now a wound that is even deeper and dirtier, grimier than it was last week after losing to Green Bay. So here we are, 0-2, going into Arizona this next week, and Kyler Murray's looking good. He looks good, man, and they got DeAndre Hopkins down there, so we'll get into that later this week. We will have a breakdown of what to expect this week in Arizona. So thank you for subscribing. For all you Detroit Lions news, thank you for liking and commenting. Drop your thoughts in the comments of what you thought about last night's game and what we need to do moving forward. And I highly anticipate many comments saying, fire Patricia. So I'll see you in the comments and the next video.